Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, Arctic. Today's video, we are going to be going over a complete DPS guide for Ayaka. We are going to be talking about the best weapons to use, the best artifacts to use, that kind of stuff, different elements that you could go with. Like you can either go with Fizz Damage or you can go with cryo damage. Fizz Damage is a little bit harder because you don't want to apply cryo with your sprint, so you don't want to sprint around enemies, but it's still possible to use that. If that sounds interesting to you, feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. We're almost there. I appreciate you all that have been subscribing recently. But anyway, let's get back to the video. So Ayaka has a few things that make her primarily a main DPS. The thing that makes her more of a main DPS is how fast her attacks are. She has some pretty fast attacks, along with a charge attack that has a 3 times multiplier right here at 100. So you're pretty much going to be getting a lot of damage off of her charge attacks, and they're going to synergize very well with her kit. What's going to make her really good at main DPS is going to be her passive. So her first passive increases Ayaka's normal and charge attack damage by 30% for 6 seconds, and that's going to be used when you cast her E-spell. And then the second one, whenever you do her dash, it's going to hit opponents, and then it restores 10 stamina and you gain 10% cryo damage bonus for 10 seconds. We don't know if this stacks upon how many enemies you hit. Like for example, if you hit 3 enemies, you get 30% damage on your cryo bonus. But it's probably just linked to one time. And then also Ayaka's constellations are very much geared to her auto attack in main DPS from that. Her C6 being a very strong one that basically increases your damage up to 50%. Blackcliff Longsword is probably going to be one of the better and easier weapons to acquire for a DPS, and it's going to be very good because it has a high base attack. It comes with crit damage up to 36%, which is going to fit very well with Ayaka, who also has a crit damage ascension stat. What you're going to want to do is get a bunch of like crit rate substats also from your like hat, that kind of stuff. And so this weapon is going to be very good. Also, when you defeat opponents, you're going to get more attack, which is very good for like main DPS kind of characters because that's what you're usually defeating enemies with. If you are going with the physical damage build, the prototype Rancor is still going to be very good for that. It does have a high base attack as well, 565. It comes with Fizz Damage instead of crit damage, so you're going to be getting some Fizz Damage off of this. But its passive, normal and charged attacks are going to increase your attack and defense by 4% for 6 seconds. The reason why you could use this is if you are just planning on walking around with Ayaka, because you just don't like your dash, something like that. Or you're crazy and want to do Fizz Damage Ayaka for some reason. Similar to Fizz Damage Kaching, like why? Why would you torture yourself like that? But anyway, that's besides the point. This is still possible to use this weapon, I just wouldn't recommend it. Sword is the battle pass one, and this is probably going to be the one that most people are going to end up going for Ayaka, partially because of its passive where you get an additional 20% charge attack, normal and charge attack damage, and that's going to be very good on Ayaka. But this also comes with a crit rate substat and a pretty normal base attack. The crit rate substat is going to be nice because she does a scale off of crit damage, so if you use this weapon, you're going to take care of most of your crit rate needs. And so it's a very good weapon for that. Aquila Favonia is basically going to be the best for the Fizz Damage build. You get like a lot of attack based on its passive, and then you also get a high amount of Fizz Damage and base attack. So it'll be very good for Fizz Damage Ayaka. Why would you do that again? It makes no sense, but I guess you can. Skyward Blade could actually be pretty good for auto attack DPS and also burst damage DPS. It increases your crit damage by 4%, and then whenever you cast your ultimate, you're going to get 10% movement speed, which is going to be nice, so you can get closer to enemies, dash around them a bit more. It also increases your attack speed by 10%, so you're getting a little bit of attack speed to boost out your auto attack damage DPS. And then also, normal and charge attacks deal an additional damage proc equal to 20% of attack, and so that'll be pretty good, and it lasts for 12 seconds, so you're going to be having a decent amount of time to utilize this. Comes with a 608 base attack, and its energy recharge stat will basically give you your ultimate up a lot more. Shaper is going to be very good if you're running like a shield support like Zhongli or Diona, and it increases your shield strength by 20%, hits on opponents, increase your attack by 4% for 8 seconds, and this basically doubles when you're under your shield. The reason why this is so good is because of its attack stat. You're going to be getting a lot of attack for your Ayaka, and this is going to be similar to Wolf's Greystone. There's not really any other 5-star sword options that are going to give you attack percent, and attack percent can be pretty strong, especially on characters with a generally higher base attack like Ayaka. Cordial Jade Cutter is probably going to be another very good option. This will basically take care of all of your crit rate needs, and it has a little bit lower base attack, but it makes up for that with its passive where you get more HP, and additionally gives you an attack bonus based on 1.2% of your wielder's max HP. So this is going to give you a rounded out attack along with a pretty much cracked substat on crit rate. So you're going to be very taken care of on crit rate. You can focus all on crit damage. And then finally, the new weapon for Ayaka that's probably going to be coming out with her banner. It's going to be very, very good. You gain a 12% elemental damage bonus, which synergizes very well with Ayaka's infused charge attacks and auto attacks. It's going to be very good because you can get stacks. We don't know if these can stack on top of each other or if they stack, like they do stack independently, but we don't know like if the duration lasts very short, or if you have to actually do each of these 3 things to get all 3 of the stacks. But hopefully you can get a stack per auto attack, which would be very nice, and then you get 3 stacks. And at 3 stacks you get another 28% elemental damage bonus, so this is going to be very good. It comes with a 674 base attack, so very high, and then also it comes with a 44% crit damage substat, so this is going to be very, very good for Ayaka. Probably the best actually for overall Ayaka gameplay. But don't stress yourself because there's several good options that I've already covered. Fizz Damage, the Bloodstained Chivalry set would be okay actually, because what you can do is get the extra 25% damage on that. But alternatively, if you do go the 4-piece, you can get a large amount of charge attack damage off of this after defeating opponents. So if you pair this with something like a Black Cliff Slasher, whenever you defeat enemies, you're basically going to get the 18% attack off of the Black Cliff Slasher, and then you get another 50% charge attack damage. So if you do go for charge attack damage, this could be good. And if you're not going for like Fizz charge attack damage also, that could be pretty good also. Make sure you're not sprinting near enemies is what we pretty much have to worry about. You don't want to sprint, but you can activate like your E, for example, to give yourself another 30% charge attack damage from your passive, and that'll be pretty good if you do decide to go charge attack DPS. Same is overall going to be the best for Fizz Damage Ayaka. It basically is going to increase your Fizz Damage up to 50% and give you some attack bonus whenever you use your E spell. But since the E spell is on a kind of fast cooldown, since the E spell is on a kind of long cooldown, I don't know if you'll be able to get both of these stacks reliably. Blizzard Strayer set is also an option that you can use since Ayaka is a cryo unit and she applies cryo relatively fast. What you're going to want to do with this is not focus so much in on crit rate with your substats and focus more on crit damage so you get a higher crit damage, and then make up for it with your 4-piece Blizzard Strayer, which is going to increase your crit rate by 20% if they are affected by cryo, and an additional 20% if they are frozen. Along with the 15% cryo damage bonus from the 2-piece, it's going to round out your Ayaka quite a bit. Retracing Bowleg can be very good if you are using a character like Zhongli, and also the Summit Shaper, because they are both centralized around shield, so this will be very good for your shield. You get 40% normal and charge attack damage, so it's going to be pretty good for that. There's 2 new sets that are going to be coming out in 1.7 with Ayaka, and this first one is going to be called Reminiscence of Shime. And so this one is basically like a 2-piece Glad with the 18+ attack, but it's 4-piece. When casting elemental skill, if the character has 15 or more energy, they lose 15 energy, and normal charge and plunging attack damage is increased by 50% for 10 seconds. So this one is just going to be way better than the 4-piece Bloodstained. Now the last set is probably going to be pretty interesting to use, especially if you're using like Electro Traveler support, since Electro Traveler can basically give your character like tons of energy recharge onto the character, and so this one will synergize pretty good with like an Electro Traveler support, or characters like Mona, whatnot, if you're running a large amount of elemental damage or elemental energy recharge. So this gives you 20% energy recharge on the 2-piece, and the 4-piece increases your elemental burst damage by 30% of your energy recharge. Maximum of 75% damage increase can be attained this way. Basically, you're trying to hit 250 energy recharge, and that's going to give you the maximum 75% increased damage on your elemental burst. Since Ayaka's burst does cost 80, this could be pretty good since you can charge up her burst quite readily. This doesn't really help your auto attacks much, but that's what your main build is going to help you out with. And so you should be good with this. That's it for the Ayaka DPS build. If you guys enjoyed the video, remember to subscribe. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I'll see you all next time. Farewell.